So shall I begin?
Sure, absolutely. Tell us all about Gritty.
So here we go, my presentation on Gritty. Good God, what is that thing? A brief history of Philadelphia's most beloved and feared mascot.
Yeah.
Part 1, the birth of a mascot. So in February of 2018, for those of you who follow football, there was a big event that went on. Philadelphia, the Flyers, the Eagles, they won the Super Bowl. And the city just exploded in celebration as the city does. I actually decided to risk it, broke quarantine, and snuck down last weekend just to finally see what a Philadelphia party was like. And oh my God, they know how to celebrate. Um, During that celebration, all of the Philly mascots that they currently had, Swoop the Eagle, the Philly Fanatic, they all came out to the celebration and were represented. And one of the things that the Philly Flyers noticed was they didn't have a mascot to bring to something like this, and they really felt that absence. So they made the decision right then and there that they would try once again to get a good to get a mascot for them. An attempt had been made in 1976. It didn't go well. They created a mascot named Slapshot. It lasted about a year. The fans really didn't like it. So when they were doing this, they decided that they did not want to repeat that failure. So they really wanted to double down and really make this work. So they started just workshopping a bunch of ideas. They put a call out to as many designers as they could. They even called in the current Philly Fanatic mascot, the person who plays them, to consult on this, just so they could finally design something that would work for them. During this, they actually consulted the Philly Flyers themselves, um, and said, "What do you want?" And they said specifically, "We want the mascot to be a monster, somebody that you'd want to high five, but not hug." The Flyers are known as being a very rough and tumble, gritty team, so they wanted somebody to represent them and still feel good, but again, not make it cute. So they went through 125 different design concepts, and they finally settled on a design by Brian Allen of the Flyland Designs. And then they went through and scrutinized every single detail of him to come up with something that would work. And they would look at the designs, they would see what's practical. They didn't want originally there were these big bushy eyebrows that they were afraid would just like get ripped off during the celebration. So they scrutinized every little detail to make it work. And on September 24th, 2018, a new mascot was introduced to Philadelphia. Everyone meet Gritty. So at first, Gritty was not well received. Okay. Um, People were shocked. People were in horror, like, what is this thing? There were memes out there comparing him to what happens when oh great, I'm blanking on his name. Animal from the Muppets, hits rock bottom. Those are the type of things they really did. People were basically like, what the hell is this thing? However, then he spoke, or more specifically, tweeted. And his first tweet, the Pittsburgh Penguins, who have this rivalry with the Flyers, they poked fun immediately. And Gritty responded with this tweet. And there was something in that tweet that was so uniquely Philadelphian that people just then started to come and warm up to him and embrace him. Um, though there is an alternative history or alternative theory that gets passed around where basically they introduce Gritty and Philadelphia says, "What the hell is this thing?" And then someone outside of Philadelphia says, "Yeah, what the hell is this thing?" And then Philadelphia is like, "He's one of us. You don't dare mess with him. He is beloved, and we love him, and we will fight you." But we're going to go with this explanation just because this is what was in the books. So officially, who is Gritty? And this is from his official bio on the Flyers website. His father was a bully, so naturally he has some of those tendencies. Talented but feisty, a fierce competitor, known for his agility given his size. He's loyal but mischievous, the ultimate Flyers fan who loves the orange and black, but is unwelcoming to anyone who opposes his team. Legend has it he earned the name Gritty for possessing an attitude so similar to the team he follows. He claims that he has been around for a lot longer than we know, and recent construction at the Wells Fargo Center disturbed his secret hideout, forcing him to show his face publicly for the first time. He has some oddities that are both humorous and strange. A number of times he has been caught eating snow straight from the Zamboni machine, and unbeknownst to most, his love of hot dogs has inflated the Flyers' dollar dog night consumption total for years. That being said, there is no denying that he is one of our own. Um, his full name of Gritwall G. Grittington was revealed on the Colbert Show, where it was also revealed that he was in the Royal Shakespeare Company with Sir Patrick Stewart. So just little side bits here and there. So that was Gritty, but however, Gritty by design was so much more, as his creator Brian Allen explains. I'm a freelance illustrator. I work with all kinds of companies and projects throughout the years, but this is the first time I've ever designed something or drew something that actually became a personality. The success of Gritty comes from him sort of being a blank slate. His personality became what he needed to become. So even though he's very iconic, in his attitude, in the way that he presents himself, he's very every person, very childlike, very innocent, at the same time aggressive. He has this sort of every person appeal that we can project ourselves onto, and that started to come through in the reactions. His strangeness, his flaws, his missteps all serve to cause people to identify with him. Um, yeah, Gritty is relatable to me as someone that falls on the back of their head every time I try to escape. So, Gritty is a relatable hero we need. He wasn't perfect. He was a mess. He was the every person. And if we can love this disaster, we could look at our own screwed up lives and learn to love ourselves. Okay. Part 2, beyond the ice. This is where we start to go beyond what what they intended him to be. So the absolute chaos that was Gritty granted him absurdity. It was the perfect thing for the internet. You just look at him and again, what the hell is this thing? And it just evokes so much chaotic nightmare fuel imagination, at the same time a certain lovability. At first he was the blank talker that kind of voiced the soul of the Flyers. Again, they wanted him to represent him. They were a Gritty team. He was that too. However, he started to become so much more, and he started to move beyond the official voice the team gave him into, again, the world. And he took on a life of his own. And people began to have a lot of fun with him. However, something else happened. Because of this blank slate design and his just the chaos, he didn't fit in to any form. People who were commonly less represented started to latch onto him. In particular, in Philadelphia, the trans community has really attached onto him as being a gender fluid icon. Um, Raymond, who is the Philly fanatic, explains Gritty's masculine or feminine attributes were intentionally blurred while designing the character to make him more relatable across audiences. According to David Raymond, the mascot expert who first played the fanatic and consulted on Gritty, since Gritty is a fresh-faced creature who's so hard to label, you can define it any way you want. It's not he or her or him, it's Gritty. And this notion, again, really took over in the trans community. And there actually is a Facebook page called Gritty Memes for Philly Teens, which really love to run with this. You can go hunt it down if you want to look up the stuff to come up with. The Flyers themselves, outside of just, again, their few official posts in the bio, they've said that his pronouns are specifically he, him. However, there have been multiple requests to confirm what Gritty's gender is, and they have flat out refused to answer that question. They don't want to get into that. They want it to be something that everyone can identify with, so they're not going to start creating divisions like that. And again, that's really where it took over. They did, however, put Gritty in the flag in the Philadelphia Pride Parade, and that's him there waving the Philadelphia Pride flag with the brown and black stripes as well. And in the few times they did show it off, Gritty has this power to change the color of his belly button at whim. And while he was at the Pride Parade, he had a rainbow belly button. Okay. Part 3, and this is where Gritty has entered the international stage and why a lot of people are asking what the heck Gritty is. Because Gritty is also now a resistance hero, right? To first understand Gritty's political evolution, you also need to know about this asshole, okay? For those of you, again, who aren't fluent in American meme logic, that was Pepe the Frog. As the internet grew and evolved over the past couple decades, memes evolved with it, and most memes are the happy memes. Those of you who may be as old as myself remember some of the first ones, like the Badger, 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 Badger meme, stuff like that. They were fun, they were lovable. There was Charlie the Unicorn, and all these fun memes that came out. However, the more racist side of America, the neo-Nazi side, after they started getting kicked out of the punk clubs, they started infiltrating computer culture, gaming culture, and unfortunately internet culture, and looking for ways to organize and attract people into their hate groups. They started to weaponize memes. They usually used the memes because they didn't want to explicitly say, hey, we're Nazis, but they wanted to push these Nazi themes using things that were popular. Pepe the Frog had been popular for about a decade before that. He first appeared, okay, now for the old people, MySpace. That's where he appeared, and he was passed around all those times. And it was based off a cartoon by Matt Fury, and the alt-right appropriated it and started using it again to start passing around these ideas. And the thing is, they would use it to start pushing jokes. One of the key ways that hate groups recruit is through humor. They start telling racist jokes and to get people to laugh at oppression. And then when people do react, they then start making fun of the people who are reacting at the racist jokes. And they use these memes to make it viral. And Pepe the Frog was used in 2016 and especially passed around during Trump's election, during Trump's election, first election bid. And it really, it really shifted a lot of the attention in a negative way. There was such a backlash at this that unfortunately the cartoon character was classified as a hate symbol, and the original Matt Fury, who created the character, ended up having to kill him off. And now actually engages in copyright fights to try to stop its use wherever in hate groups wherever he can. Unfortunately, the genie was out of the bottle. And because the alt-right came in so fast and so hard with their memes, they were basically acting like the kings of the internet. They used to joke that the left couldn't meme, and so it was really this uphill battle for those who were opposing the alt-right and the fascists. But then came Gritty. Now, when Gritty appeared in 2018, the alt-right and the anti-fascist groups both tried to appropriate him for the memes. Unfortunately, when I was looking up all these neat little meme pictures to steal, I did stumble across a couple of them. I would not want to repost them anywhere. They were horrible, but they were also uninspired. They were just bad jokes with Gritty's face on them as well. I'm not going to suggest, I'm not going to subject you to them. But here is what the left came up with for the Gritty memes. And although both groups tried, Gritty was a better fit for the anti-fascist groups. His blank slate made him a perfect representation for the oppressed groups. His every person appeal fit perfectly with their fight for the 99%. And his embodiment of chaos melded perfectly with the anarchism of these groups. So Gritty just really took over in the protest in the left and in the left circles as just kind of the hero out there to fight the alt-right. And in Philly, Gritty was invoked in protests both against Trump and white supremacist groups. So every once in a while, the Proud Boys try to do this big rally in Philly to try to gain a foothold. And every time they do it, they get outnumbered 10-1 by the city of Philadelphia. And these are the types of signs that started showing up after 2018. And Gritty is becoming the resistant icon. Now, during the 2020 election season, and this is where we get into now, this was just a few months ago, President Trump started targeting Philadelphia, among other cities, with a series of verbal attacks and threats. He's currently he's going after Philly, he's going after Portland, he's going after New York, because these are the cities that have shown the greatest resistance to his policies. Philadelphia's constitution guarantees the right to protest and provides a number of legal protections to protesters. So in Philadelphia, you cannot be arrested for disturbing the peace if you have a reason for being there. And that's because the Philadelphia Constitution was written by the Quakers, who held that freedom of speech or freedom of protest so sacred. They wanted to make sure it couldn't be infringed upon. So this is why Philadelphia has always been this protest city, because it's ingrained in the very DNA of the city. In addition, Philadelphia is a sanctuary city that challenges one of Trump's core racist policies. I wish they would do better with that sanctuary city model, but they do call themselves a sanctuary city. And this constantly puts them in the crosshairs. And this is why, as we have noticed, Trump has said a lot of bad things about them. And during the first debate, he uttered the phrase, "Bad things happen in Philadelphia." And Gritty responded as only Gritty could. I especially like this meme because a friend of mine designed it. And she was so happy when it started going viral. It was her first viral meme. I'm like, oh, that's so cute. So in November of 2020, Philadelphia became the center of Pennsylvania's ballot battle. Because of the population density, Philadelphia's votes were taking the longest to count. And as a Democratic stronghold, most of the votes were expected to go to Biden. In order to maintain his lead in the state, Trump began to attack Philadelphia and its ongoing ballot count in an attempt to fabricate enough doubt to attempt to stop the count and disenfranchise the Democratic Philadelphia voters. So that's what we were seeing this month. And as a result, Philadelphia fought back, and Gritty led the city to become the central symbolic battle around the country. So everyone was looking at Philadelphia, and because Gritty was in Philadelphia, Gritty is now the face of the resistance and leading the battle. And soon the city united in victory. Right? So that, for those of you who do not know, is a brief history of Gritty and his relevance in modern politics. Here are the references that I drew from. I'll take a screenshot, or I'll probably cut and paste it and throw it in the links if you guys want. And here we are. By the way, it's been declared that November 7th is now the Feast of St. John. So, okay, questions?
That was excellent. Thank you.
I am highly amused that I have never understood the Gritty thing. And yet I understood everything already. It just...
There are some who refer to Gritty as like the god spirit of the city, like Roma.
Yeah.
So he has been referred to as the diamond of Gritty. Is that the correct diamond of Philadelphia?
Yeah, no, because I remember when Gritty was horrifying and people hated him and no one understood it. And yet nothing has changed and everything has changed.
When I first saw Gritty, the first thing I was exposed to, by the way, I just threw all the links in the chat if you guys want to check them out. The meme that got me was the one where it's like the four panels of him getting closer. It's like, do you think this is a game? And one of my friends who had been in the area much longer, they said to me, Zach, you don't understand. This is the essence of Philadelphia.
Mhm.
So.
That's amazing. Oh goodness. Yeah, a good friend of mine is super into hockey and sent me the mascot pictures when it was first announced, and it was a little terrifying. Not gonna lie. But oh my gosh, it's definitely evolved.
I don't think anybody had any idea where this was going to go, and that it just so great. And I actually, so you may have prior, occasionally if you look at protest pictures, like some of the bigger protests, you might see a certain reptile showing up in those protest pictures. And the idea behind that was if we could get a little kind of fun out there, a little, and kind of be a little bit of a rodeo clown, get that joy out there. It would help to raise the mood of the protests. It would start bringing people in and attracting people in. And I was doing that for about a year and a half, and then Gritty happened, and Gritty just did it naturally. Like I knew from a kind of a sociological standpoint that this kind of thing would be crucial for building a certain culture around the protest. So I was trying to force it. And then Gritty came in, and it was so organic and so natural and so beautiful. I'm like, okay, this is great.
That's so cool.
It also says a lot. The beginning of the Resistance was Princess Leia, and the end of it is Gritty.
Oh my gosh, I didn't notice that.
I just thought of it.
Oh, there needs to be memes about that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have the artistic ability or creativeness to do it, but
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna probably throw it on Twitter. But yeah, Resistance in 2016. I'm going to get the most glamour shot I could get of Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, and then Resistance in 2020, and it's Gritty. That's perfect.
I love it. Well, does anyone have any questions for Zach about Gritty or the protests or anything?
Theoretically, so you could say that Gritty was born on 24th of September.
Yep.
Hooray! I finally share a birthday with someone who's famous. Finally! My greatest achievement.
That's amazing, Susanna.
That's
yeah, it's like, yeah.
Those are bragging rights.
No, that was really informative. Thank you so much. Anybody else have any other questions? You did too good a job, Zach.
No questions, but I also wanted to say that it was very interesting and super informative. Thank you.
Laura says it's not a question, but Gritty's Instagram is 10 out of 10. Good content.
They've got some good people on that, and they don't give them a lot of oversight from the corporation. So
that's neat.
There's a couple good of his posts that he was doing during lockdown where he was trying to throw the ball into like the various pots and pans. Great to watch. And they have clips of him going throughout the audience and doing like various pranks on the audience. which are very good. I'll try and find those like individual ones because like I go back and watch them all the time because it's great.
That is awesome and really helpful. Yay.
And now when anybody asks you, what is this gritty thing, you can show them the video.
It's true. It's true.